if you've ever thought, my life is over. I'm too broken. Nothing good can come from this. Joni's story gently but firmly disagrees. She was 17. Young, athletic, full of energy, the kind of girl who loved horses, swimming, and adventure. Her name was Joni Eareckson. A teenager growing up in Maryland, USA, she'd grown up around church, heard Bible verses, sung hymns. She believed in God, but, like many teenagers, she hadn't yet imagined how much that faith might be tested. One summer day in 1967, she and her sister went down to the Chesapeake Bay for a swim. It was bright, hot, beautiful, the kind of day that feels like life will go on forever. On a sudden impulse, Joni ran to the end of a raft, took a quick look, and dove in. The water was far shallower than she thought. In an instant, everything changed. Her head struck the sandy bottom with a sickening jolt. She heard door, felt a crack, then silence. Underwater, Joni couldn't move. Her arms wouldn't respond. Her legs felt like they vanished. She was face down, helpless, lungs burning. Her sister noticed something was wrong. Joni had been under too long to still. She rushed over, flipped her, and hauled her out. They got her to the hospital. Machines, bright lights, doctors speaking in serious tones, x-rays, tests, wires, then the words that landed like a hammer on her heart: broken neck, a fracture between the 4th and 5th cervical vertebrae, you're paralyzed from the shoulders down. We don't expect you to walk again. Everything went quiet. From running, jumping, and riding horses to lying in a hospital bed, unable to move her hands. Her world shrank overnight. The weeks that followed were brutal. There were the physical battles, metal braces, traction, learning to breathe properly, depending on others for everything: feeding, bathing, scratching an itch she couldn't reach. But there were also the emotional and spiritual battles. In the long hospital nights, with the machines beeping and the ceiling tiles staring back, the questions screamed inside. God, why? Why didn't you stop this? You could have made the water deeper. You could have made me trip before I dove. You could have done something. She begged God to heal her. She pictured herself walking out of the hospital, a miracle story. She imagined the doctors amazed, the nurses praising God. But the days passed. The wheelchair stayed. Her fingers still would not move. Depression settled over her like a heavy blanket. She asked friends to pray that she could die. She wrestled with dark thoughts, with deep anger, with the fear that her life had been completely ruined. Have you ever been there? Not necessarily in a hospital bed, but in that place where you feel frozen, stuck, unable to imagine a future worth living. That's where Joni was. What changed? Not one moment of instant healing. No sudden get up and walk story. Instead, a slow, stubborn, compassionate pursuit of her heart. First, there were people. Her family didn't abandon her. They showed up. They learned how to care for her. They cried, but they stayed. Friends visited. Some fumbled for words. Some made mistakes, but some sat with her, read scripture to her, and didn't run from her pain. Then there was the Bible. At first, Joni threw God her hardest questions. She told him honestly that she was disappointed, angry, and tired. But as people read scripture to her, certain passages began to land differently. That God is close to the brokenhearted, that his strength is made perfect in weakness, that the cross is not just about pain avoided, but pain redeemed. She slowly began to see that God wasn't only interested in fixing bodies. He was also committed to reshaping hearts, hopes, and purposes. It didn't make everything easy. It didn't instantly erase the grief of never walking again. But it gave her something she hadn't had in a long time, a reason to keep talking to God, even from the wheelchair. Joni had a choice: stay in the dark, convinced her life was over, or ask a new question. Lord, if I'm going to be in this wheelchair for the rest of my life, how can this life still matter? That question became a turning point. In rehab, someone suggested she try painting, not with her hands, but with a paintbrush held between her teeth. At first, it felt ridiculous, almost insulting. How is this supposed to help, she thought. But she tried. Clumsy lines at first. Shaky attempts at flowers, birds, little scenes. Slowly, surprisingly, something beautiful started to emerge. Her neck muscles grew stronger as she practiced. She gained a new kind of control. Paintings that started as therapy became actual art, delicate, detailed, expressive. Her body was still paralyzed, but creativity was not. This became a picture of her whole life. Her legs could not walk into a room, but her words and story could. Her hands could not hold a pen, but her mouth could dictate pages. Her arms could not hug thousands of people, but her voice could reach millions. Over time, Joni began sharing her story, first in small groups, then in churches, then in bigger settings. She wrote, through dictation, a book simply titled Joni, telling the truth, the anger, the depression, the doubts, and the slow rediscovery of hope. People around the world read it and thought, if God can meet her there, maybe he hasn't forgotten me either. The years rolled on. Joni did not leave her wheelchair behind. She still faces pain, health complications, and daily dependence on others. And yet, her life overflowed outward. She became an author, writing books that point people to Christ in suffering. She became a speaker, sharing that disability does not disqualify someone from a meaningful, fruitful life. She founded a ministry, Joni and Friends, to serve people with disabilities and their families, offering wheelchairs, retreats, and hope around the world. She advocated for the dignity of every life, from the nursing home to the special needs child, insisting that every person bears God's image. Joni's story does not say, if you believe, God will always take away the disability. Her story says something even more surprising. Even if the disability stays, even if the wheelchair never goes away, God can fill that life with purpose, beauty, and joy that no accident can steal. Maybe your wheelchair isn't made of metal and rubber. Maybe it's a diagnosis that won't go away, a depression that keeps returning, a loss that can't be undone, a limitation that makes you feel less than whole. Joni's journey whispers, your value is not measured by what your body can do. Your future is not locked just because your circumstances changed. God is not finished writing your story just because one chapter shattered your plans. He can teach you new ways to paint with whatever you have left, in whatever season you're in. If you're feeling emotionally or spiritually paralyzed today, you can borrow a prayer in Joni's spirit. Lord, I don't like this. I wish you would remove it. But if this is the life I must live, don't let it be wasted. Show me how to live beautifully from this place. Use my weakness in a way that surprises me and blesses others. Hold me when I feel stuck, and teach my heart to find you here. Joni's body was broken in a split second. Her heart was rebuilt over years. And out of that wheelchair came books, art, ministries, and encouragement for countless people who needed to hear one simple, healing truth. Being limited is not the same as being useless. In God's hands, even what feels ruined can become a doorway to new life.